The classroom went dead silent the moment the paper hit the desk. "Stand up." Mr. Halvorson's voice cut through the room like a blade, sharp, loud, and deliberate. Chairs creaked as students shifted. A few turned. Some smirked. At the back of the room, Daniel Carter didn't move. "Did you not hear me?" Halvorson snapped, stepping closer. "I said stand up. Now." Slowly, Daniel rose to his feet. Calm, controlled. His hands stayed at his sides. Halvorson lifted the test paper between two fingers like it was something dirty. "Care to explain," he said, voice rising just enough for the entire class to hear, "how you managed to score the highest mark in this class?" A ripple moved through the room. Someone chuckled. Another whispered, "No way." Daniel didn't answer. Halvorson leaned in slightly, lowering his voice, but not enough to keep it private. "Because I've been teaching this subject for 18 years, he said. "And I know what excellence looks like." A pause. "And this doesn't look like it." A few students laughed under their breath. The tension thickened. Daniel swallowed once, steady. "I studied," he said quietly. "That only made it worse." Halvorson let out a short, dry laugh. "You expect me to believe that?" And just like that, the line was crossed. Before we proceed, kindly tell us where you are watching from in the comments. Hit the subscribe button for more stories. The next few minutes stretched longer than they should have. Halvorson didn't stop. He walked slowly across the front of the class, test still in hand, speaking like he was delivering a lecture. "You see, class," he said, "sometimes results don't match patterns. And when that happens, we ask questions." His eyes flicked back to Daniel. Important questions. Daniel stood there, heat rising behind his ears, but his face didn't show it. "I didn't cheat," he said. It was simple, direct. Halvorson stopped pacing. "Oh, we're not there yet," he replied. "Let's not rush to conclusions." The class shifted again, some uncomfortable now, others leaning in. "Tell me," Halvorson continued, "how many hours did you study?" Daniel hesitated. "A few weeks. After school." Halvorson nodded slowly. "And yet, your previous scores were average at best." Another murmur. Daniel didn't respond. Halvorson stepped closer again. "So either this is a miracle, a beat, or it's something else." The implication hung in the air. A girl near the front frowned slightly. A boy in the corner shook his head, watching. But no one said anything. That was the worst part. The bell didn't save him. It rang. Loud. Final. But Halvorson raised his voice over it. "No one leaves," he said. The room froze. Students looked at each other. "You," he pointed at Daniel. "Stay right there." Backpacks paused mid-zip. "This won't take long," Halvorson added, though his tone said otherwise. A few students slowly sat back down. The pressure tightened. Halvorson walked to his desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a folder. "I've already contacted administration," he said casually. "Standard procedure." Daniel's chest rose slightly. "Standard procedure. Until we resolve this," Halvorson continued, "this score is under review." He looked up. "And so is your integrity." That landed harder than anything else. A few students avoided eye contact now. One girl shifted uncomfortably in her seat. But still no one spoke. Time dragged. Questions followed. "Where did you study? Did anyone help you? Did you access past exam papers?" Each one sharper than the last. Each one louder. Each one more public. Daniel answered calmly every time. "No, no, no." Halvorson's patience wore thinner with every response. "Then explain it," he snapped suddenly, slamming the paper down on a desk. "Because this doesn't happen by accident." Daniel looked at the paper, then back at him. "I already did." That quiet tone, it didn't help. It made Halvorson's jaw tighten. "You think this is a joke," he said. "No." "Then start acting like it isn't." A long pause. Something shifted in the room. Not loud, not obvious, but noticeable. The girl in the front, Emily, glanced between them, her brow furrowed. There was something off now. Something about Daniel. He wasn't defensive. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't even angry. He was steady. Too steady. Minutes passed. Then the door opened. Assistant Principal Green stepped in, clipboard in hand. "What's going on?" she asked. Halvorson straightened slightly. "Academic integrity issue," he said. "I believe this student cheated on the exam." Green looked at Daniel. He met her gaze calmly. "No evidence yet," Halvorson added quickly. "But the discrepancy is obvious." Green stepped further in. "And you've questioned him?" "Thoroughly." "And?" Halvorson exhaled. "He denies it." Green nodded slowly. Then she turned to Daniel. "Do you have anything you'd like to add?" The room held its breath. Daniel shook his head. "No, ma'am." Simple. Respectful. Controlled. Green studied him for a second longer than expected. Then she looked back at Halvorson. "Let's be careful here," she said quietly. Halvorson frowned slightly. "I am being careful." "Good," she replied. But her tone suggested something else. The tension didn't break. It thickened. Halvorson crossed his arms. "With respect, I know my students. And this doesn't add up." Green didn't argue. But she didn't agree either. "Let's review the exam," she said. Halvorson nodded and handed it over. She scanned it quickly. Her expression didn't change much. But Emily noticed something. A flicker. Small. Almost invisible. But it was there. Green looked up again. "Daniel," she said, "can you walk me through question 12? Daniel nodded. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and began explaining. Clearly. Step by step. No stumbles. No guessing. No hesitation. The room went quieter than before. Even Halvorson's posture shifted slightly. Daniel finished. Green nodded once. "Thank you." She turned back to Halvorson. But before she could speak, a voice came from the doorway. "Is this the student?" Everyone turned. A man stood there. Mid-40s. Sharp suit. Calm presence. Halvorson frowned. "And you are?" The man stepped in, holding a small folder. "Dr. Marcus Ellison," he said. "I was asked to stop by." Green's posture changed instantly. "Of course." Halvorson blinked. "I wasn't informed." "This came from district," Green said quietly. That landed. Hard. Halvorson straightened. "Well," he said, regaining composure, "you're just in time. We're dealing with a clear case of—" "Let's not label it yet," Ellison interrupted calmly. Not loud, but firm enough to stop him. Ellison turned to Daniel, studied him. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, "Daniel Carter," Ellison said. Daniel nodded once. "Yes, sir." That "sir" wasn't casual. It was familiar, respectful, recognizing. And in that moment, everything shifted. Ellison opened the folder, pulled out a document, placed it gently on the desk. "I believe this will clarify things," he said. Green leaned in. Her eyes widened slightly. Halvorson stepped closer. "What is this?" Ellison looked at him. "National Academic Assessment results," he said. A pause. "Daniel scored in the top 1% statewide last year." Silence. Heavy. Absolute. Halvorson didn't move. Didn't speak. Ellison continued. "He was recommended for advanced placement review. That review was delayed." Green closed her eyes briefly. Understanding. Ellison looked back at Daniel. "Your file should have been flagged," he said. "It wasn't." Then he turned to Halvorson. "That's not the student's failure." The room didn't breathe. Halvorson's face drained, just slightly. "Enough." "But his classroom performance," he started. "Was average," Ellison finished. "Yes. A beat. That happens when students are unchallenged. that hit harder than anything before. The power had flipped. Completely. Halvorson's shoulders dropped, just a fraction. His voice, when it came back, wasn't the same. I was acting in the interest of fairness. Ellison nodded. I'm sure you believe that. A pause. But fairness doesn't begin with assumptions. Halvorson didn't respond. Couldn't. Ellison gestured lightly toward Daniel. You questioned his integrity, he said. Publicly. No anger. No raised voice. Just fact. And you did it without evidence. The words settled deep. Green stepped forward now. Mr. Halvorson, she said, we'll need to document this. He nodded slowly. Yes, of course. But the confidence was gone. Completely. He glanced at Daniel. For the first time. Really looked at him. And what he saw now wasn't the same student he thought he knew. Daniel hadn't moved much. Still calm. Still steady. But now, the room saw him differently. Emily exhaled slowly. A boy in the back shook his head quietly. The whispers were gone. Replaced by something else. Respect. Halvorson cleared his throat. I may have acted prematurely. It wasn't quite an apology. But it was close. Ellison didn't push. He didn't need to. The moment had already done the work. Daniel finally spoke. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just clear. I don't mind being questioned, he said. Everyone listened. But I do mind being judged before I'm heard. A pause. No one moved. I did the work, he added. That should have been enough. Simple. Grounded. Final. No one argued. Because there was nothing left to argue. Later, as the classroom emptied, the tension slowly dissolved. But something stayed behind. A lesson. Not written on the board. Not in any textbook. But clear. Assumptions carry weight. Authority carries responsibility. And respect is not optional. Halvorson stood alone for a moment after everyone left. Looking at the desk. At the paper. At the quiet space where everything had shifted. He exhaled slowly. Not in frustration. But in realization. Because for the first time, he understood exactly where he went wrong. And Daniel? He didn't celebrate. Didn't linger. He picked up his bag. Walked out the door. Same calm steps. Same steady presence. But now, everyone who saw him understood something they hadn't before. Strength doesn't always raise its voice. Sometimes, it waits. And lets the truth do the talking. Because, in the end, respect isn't something you demand. It's something you give first. Or risk losing completely.